Hello, Emma. I'm okay. How are you? I'm a little tired, but I'm okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, Rayanne. So, we're going to be doing vocabulary, advanced vocabulary, right? So, today is not for beginners. Okay, the words I'm teaching today are good words for the IELTS test or the TOEFL test or for your GRE, or if you are in college and you need to use academic level English, these are good words for that. Okay, but they are very difficult words and they are not that common. Okay, so that's what we're doing today. And hello, Luna. And we have some good words today. We're going to wait just a few minutes to give some more people time to show up. But while we're waiting, if you have some questions about vocabulary, you can ask me. And hello over in my YouTube channel, my YouTube viewers. Hello, Amin. What's a good way to memorize vocabulary words? I get this question a lot. And I have a good answer for you, but I don't know if you're going to like my answer. So, Kausam, memorizing is the worst way to learn anything. Okay? It's the worst way to learn anything when you memorize. Because memorizing is very shallow learning. And because it's shallow learning, that's why it's so easily forgettable. You haven't made any deep connections to those words, so that's why they are easily forgettable. Okay? So what does that mean? That means that the secret, if you're forgetting the words because your connections are not deep enough, then that means you need to make deeper connections and more connections, right? That's the secret of memory, is the more connections you have to a word or concept, the more you're likely to remember it and understand it. Okay? So how can you do this? What I tell people is words are like people. The more time you spend with them, the more you get to know them, right? You need to spend time with them, though, to get to know them. So, you can find out many things about a word. For example, if I have lunch with you and we talk, what kinds of questions would I ask a person that I just met at lunch? What kind of questions would I ask a person I just met? Anyone? So, you might say, where are you from? You might say, what do you do? You might say, do you have any brothers and sisters? Right? These are questions you ask people when you meet them, right? So, you can ask words those questions too. For example, maybe you ask somebody, what's your job? What do you do? Right? Well, words have jobs too. So the first thing you should do is learn what the job of that word is. So if you're talking about the word microphone, a microphone is a noun. That's its job. Its function is as a thing. It is a thing, that is its function, that is its job. Okay, so now you know the job of the microphone. Okay, it's a noun, it's a thing, right? And where does microphone come from? Well, just like people come from places, words come from places too. So, for example, microphone comes from Latin and Greek. Okay, micro meaning small and phono meaning sound. Um, and so now you know, oh, it's Latin and Greek. It comes from Latin and Greek. Well, that's interesting. Now you know where it comes from, right? And you can ask, do you have any family? What about your family? Do you have any brothers and sisters? Well, guess what? There are many words in English that have the word micro in them, right? So, microphone, microscope, microscopic, okay? Those are words that are related. So because they're related, they're like family, right? Phone, the word phone, microphone, cell phone, phonograph, phonics. These are all words that have the sound, the word phone in them, right? And they all mean sound. So my point is, Kausam, this seems like a lot of work, but it's actually not that much work, and it's effective because you're making many connections to the words, right? You should see, how is this word used in example sentences? Can you read it in some example sentences to see how it's used, right? And if you do all these things just one time, that will create a deep memory of the word, and the chances are much greater that you will remember those words. Okay? Now, I know you think it's a lot of work, it's too much work, but it's less work than doing memorizing, because when you memorize and you forget, and then you have to memorize it again, and you forget, and then you have to memorize it again, and you forget. But if you do it this way the first time, spend time with the words, learn about the words, where are they from, what do they do, how are they used, that will help you remember the words. And you only need to do that once. Okay? There are a few other tricks about vocabulary, and if you follow me, then you'll get them. Okay? Okay, guys, it's time for me to start my stream. Okay, we're going to do advanced vocabulary. Today's stream is about advanced vocabulary. All right? So, once again, these are advanced vocabulary words. These are good words for the GRE test, for the IELTS test, for the TOEFL test, for any major English test or major academic high-level test. Okay, any kind of high-level academic test, these words are good for that. They are C1, C2 level words. They are not common. No, they're not common, but they're good. All right, so we're going to look at these words now, okay? And very quickly, I will answer these two questions. From where you are is grammatically correct. It could be, depending on the context, yes. From where you are, can you see me? Yeah, you could say that. Okay, and depending on the context, it could be correct. And what's the difference between chew out and tell off? Maybe nothing, Rayan. Sometimes that could be the same. I think the only difference I would say is chewing out someone is more like a teacher or a parent will chew you out, but telling off someone could be let me think of how to say this. Like chewing out someone is usually used in some sort of like authority figure of some kind, right? So a parent will chew you out, a teacher might chew you out, an adult will chew you out, right? A boss will chew you out, okay? But telling off is more like I'm going to tell off my boss means I'm going to tell my boss what I really think. I've never told him before, but I'm going to tell him now. So chewing out is often from an authority from above going downward, right? You're chewing them out, right? Telling off is more like you're telling somebody above you how you think. Or it might not be above you, it could be the same, like a boyfriend, girlfriend could be telling them off. Okay? All right, let's get to the advanced vocabulary words today. Here are the advanced vocabulary words for today. We're starting with the word intransigent. I like this word. Intransigent. Hello, Ornella. How are you? And hello, Camellia. Intransigent is a word that means unwilling to compromise or change one's views. It's like being stubborn or hard-headed, okay? Pig-headed, unwilling to compromise. You are intransigent, okay? This is the academic way to say pig-headed, all right? He's intransigent. And what does this word, where does it come from? The etymology, that means the history of the word. Where's this word come from? In, the in part means not, okay? Trans means across or beyond. The ig part comes from the Latin word agere, meaning to act, right? So basically, not moving across or changing position, right? Not across, move. Not moving across, okay? Not acting or moving across. Means I'm not going to change my mind. I'm not going to compromise, okay? Where do we use this word? We use this word in political debates, negotiations, right? So in a political debate, you might say, my opponent seems to be very intransigent on certain issues, right? And it means unwilling to compromise on certain issues. Okay, negotiations. Maybe you're trying to negotiate a deal, a business deal, but the other side won't move on the terms of the deal. They are being intransigent in the deal. Okay, or in an ideological stance, some kind of ideological stance, like you know. When it comes to equal rights, I'm pretty intransigent about this. You know, I don't have too much room to wiggle there. Okay, I believe it should be equal rights for everyone. Period. Here's an example. The committee remained intransigent despite public pressure to reconsider. Okay, the committee. A committee is a group of people, okay, who come together to talk about something. That's a committee, right? A committee is a group of people who are in charge of something, right? And they remained intransigent, so they stayed. They didn't change their opinion. They didn't change their mind. They didn't change their view. They stayed with their view, okay, despite public pressure. So even though there was a lot of public pressure on them to reconsider, they remained intransigent. Intransigente. Ah, okay, intransigente. Yeah, that's why I love Italian, because there's so many words in Italian that are basically just the same word in English with a little, a little more flair. Intransigent, intransigente. You just have to do the hand and make it more musical, and suddenly it's Italian. Okay, so we have intransigent. If you guys want to try to use the word intransigent in a sentence, then I will correct you. So go ahead and try to use the word intransigent in the chat, and I will correct you. I'm waiting. The teacher is waiting. Hello? Anyone? Please write your sentences in the chat so I can correct them. Intransigent. Come on. Let's go. Intransigent. Write your sentences in the chat. Ornella says, I won't tolerate your behavior in the classroom. I'll remain intransigent. Okay. Yeah, you could use it that way. Sure. Hinoki says, I am an intransigent girl. Okay. But Hinoki, can you tell, maybe you need to say what you're intransigent about. It would be a little weird to just say, I'm unwilling to compromise without saying what you're unwilling to compromise about. Right? So you have to kind of mention what you're intransigent about. Okay? I'm an intransigent girl about what? He is known for being intransigent even when better options are presented. Yeah, that works perfectly well. Yes, good. I tried to convince my friend, but he was intransigent. Good. Also good. Yes. Excellent. All right. Anyone else want to try? Write your sentences. Come on. All right, I'm going to move on to the next word, but we'll see if anybody else continues. Oh, there's one. Let's see. The authorities around the world have remained intransigent. The environmental policies to ensure carbon reduction. Pretty good. You need to say the authorities around the world have remained intransigent regarding the environmental policies to ensure carbon reduction. Okay? You just need to add the word regarding. Okay? You're an intransigent girl that's saying yes. Well, let's see, Hinoki. So that's a little confusing because intransigent means you won't change your mind. So you won't change your mind that you say yes about everything? So, Hinoki, try to think of something that you only like it this one way. You don't like it any other way, only this way. That's something you're intransigent about. Okay? So maybe, for example, let me think. Uh, okay, here's one, Hinoki. In America, we have two kinds of ramen. Okay, uh, I love traditional, real Japanese ramen. That's delicious. But the American style ramen is a that's not the same thing at all. When people talk about ramen in America, they're not usually talking about real ramen. They're talking about this food that we make for college kids that's really really cheap. It's just it's instant noodles, right? But the cheapest instant noodles. That's not the same thing as ramen. And when it comes to ramen, I am intransigent about my ramen. I only like real ramen. I won't call it ramen if it's just instant noodles. Instant noodles is instant noodles and ramen is ramen. I'm intransigent about ramen. Okay? It's a little hard to pronounce. Okay, slow it down. Intransigent. Intransigent, 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 intransigent. Sometimes when you're trying to practice pronouncing a new word, you should try to find a rhythm. Find a rhythm. Rhythms are easier to repeat, right? So if you say it without the rhythm, intransigent, intransigent, that's harder to repeat. But if you make it in a loop, intransigent, 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 intransigent. And let me give you one more trick that works for pronouncing difficult words. Don't say the whole word, say it part by part. So just say in, then say in trans, then say in transit, then say intransigent, intransigent, right? So just add it part by part to give your mouth time to learn. Okay? All right, let's see. Yeah, these are difficult words today. Okay? 今天我就是英文课，可是就是困难的英文课。我们现在我教他们很难的名词。Okay, so it's very difficult words I'm trying to teach right now. Not for everybody. I'm intransigent about English, and I'm obsessed with American English. Okay, yeah, you could use it that way, sure. Maybe you could say I'm intransigent about English. Because I prefer American English over others. Right, Daichi? So in that case, you're telling people what you're intransigent about. You're specifically intransigent about liking American English compared to others. Okay, so I'm intransigent about English, about American English, and prefer it much more than other versions. Okay, now people know that. What are you intransigent about? Oh, you're intransigent about liking American English more than others. Okay? Hello, Ron. Good to see you, my friend. Long time no see. Okay, let's go to the next word. The next word is, this is another hard one to say. Perspicacious. 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 Perspicacious is a word that means having keen insight and understanding. To be mentally sharp, right? You're perspicacious. Okay? So basically, it's kind of like saying you're very keen or you're very clever, maybe. Could be some synonyms that are less academically difficult. Let's look at the etymology of the word. Per, the letters P-E-R mean through, And the SPIC, spic, comes from spicere, meaning to look. That's where we get the word spectacles from. And then we have acious, meaning inclined to or like that thing, right? It's likely to be like that, okay? So together it means inclined to see through. So it means that you're smart, you're going to see through the problems, or you're going to see through the tricks. You're too clever. You're keen, okay? You're perspicacious. When do we use this word? We use it in psychology, we use it in leadership analysis and literary criticism, okay? But again, basically it's just a synonym for being clever, okay? Her perspicacious observations uncovered the flaw in the argument. You could just say her clever, or her smart, or her witty, okay? Her brilliant observations, her intelligent observations, okay? Perspicacious. Show you what? Yes, I'm also intransigent about Japanese ramen hinoki. Yes, perfect, Daichi. I'm intransigent about American English because I prefer American English over others. Good, except you spelled transient instead of intransigent, but I know what you mean. I noticed that when you teach difficult words, the majority of them come from Latin and are pretty much the same in Italian. Yeah, right, yeah. Because, so why is that, Ornella? Why do you think that is? There are some reasons. There are two languages that have this effect. One of them is Latin or Italian together, and the other is French. That's correct. And the reason why is, Ornella, Latin was the language of the learned people, right? The educated people. Poor people didn't know Latin, so that means that the words that come from Latin are academic words, right? They're academic words. They're not common words. They're the words of academia, right? But also French, because of the history of France and England fighting all the time, there was a time period in England when the rich people, the aristocrats, they spoke a form of French, and the poor people spoke a form of English. And so that's why we have words like cow is the common word for beef, which is the aristocratic word. Why? Because the aristocrats, they don't deal with the cows. That's only for the farmers, right? They only touch the beef. That's for eating, right? But the poor people never eat beef because that's too expensive and too valuable. So they don't eat beef. They just have the cow. That's the work animal, right? So there is this historical effect of language of a certain, how do I say this, segregation of class by language, okay? And the segregation of class by language happened in two ways. One, with Latin words, which Latin words were, the majority of Latin words, that's for academic language, okay? And then we also have the French and English words, which again, French was for the aristocrats and the Low English was for the poor people. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Her perspicacious observations is awesome. Okay, pretty good, Hinoki, but because you said observations, that's more than one, right? And because it's more than one, you have to say are, not is. Is only for one thing, right? But if it's for many things, then you have to say her perspicacious observations are awesome. Okay? And hello, Belen. Good to see you again, dear. Kisses. So their influence remains an educated vocabulary. Absolutely. Yes, most definitely. Yeah, I mean, Ornella, think about it. All the medical words are Latin words. All the science words are Latin words, right? So Latin was a language that was used by the Romans, but then in the 1800s, right around the 1800s, it had a revival because of science. Because of science. Science was growing, and they were having to name all these plants and animals, right? They're discovering all these plants and animals, and they want to name the species, and Latin was the language that was used to describe all those things, and it became the language of biology, and the language of chemistry, and the language of all of those things, right? Okay. This prime minister is not just charismatic, but perspicacious. Yeah, good, very good. Yes. Okay. And again, perspicacious means keen, having keen insight. You're clever, you're smart, you're brilliant, you're mentally sharp. Okay, so when you come in to see a problem, suddenly you see it in a way that nobody else saw it, and you can figure out what to do. That's perspicacious. Okay, let's go to the next word. Recalcitrant. Recalcitrant. Another good one. Recalcitrant means stubbornly uncooperative or defiant of authority. So basically this means no matter how many times somebody says, bad boy, you continue to be a bad boy, right? You don't listen to any authority. If they say sit down, you stand up every single time. If they say stop talking in class, you talk in class every day. That is a recalcitrant person. Or this word is sometimes used to describe prisoners, criminals, where they go to prison for some crime, and then they get out, and then they do another crime, and they go back to prison, so they're recalcitrant. Their behavior is they continue to do crimes, right? To commit crimes. So they just are showing a stubborn, uncooperative defiance of authority. Okay? And the word recalcitrant, meaning back, and calcit, the calcitrant part comes from the calcitrare, meaning to kick back. To kick back. Okay, so literally, what does this mean? It means kicking back. Like, what does a horse do when it's upset? What does a mule or a donkey do when it's upset? It kicks back, right? So that's what recalcitrant means, is you keep fighting against things even when you're wrong or when you shouldn't. You're recalcitrant. Okay? The topic is advanced vocabulary. C1, C2, yeah. So where do we use the word recalcitrant? We use this word when we're talking in legal reports, again, talking about criminals or defendants, right? His recalcitrant behavior. Your Honor, his recalcitrance cannot be condoned, right? This kind of thing, right? Education, again, maybe you have a student who's a recalcitrant student. They keep getting in trouble in class every day. No matter what you do, they keep getting in trouble. They're continuing to be defiant, to defy you. That's a recalcitrant student. Or behavioral psychology, where we talk about people who have a certain psychological stubbornness to them. Like me. Since this murderer is recalcitrant and he has committed crimes, he finally got executed. Yes. That's Fine. Yes, that works well. Daichi. Yes. Uh-huh. Yes, recalcitrant is a good one. Look, see, the recalcitrant student refused to follow the new classroom rules. The recalcitrant student refused to follow the new classroom rules. So every day he's breaking the new classroom rules, even when he gets in trouble. And then he comes back the next day and he breaks the rules again and he gets in trouble. And he comes back the next day and he breaks the rules again and he gets in trouble. He is recalcitrant. Okay, recalcitrant. Anyone else want to try recalcitrant in a sentence? Recalcitrant. Think of someone who just doesn't listen when someone tells them they've done something wrong. He is a recalcitrant student. Sure, that's a simple sentence, but it works. Yeah? And yeah, Daichi, it's good to see you again. All right. Okay. Good to see you. This will be on YouTube. You can watch it again tomorrow if you want to. Go to my YouTube channel. Have a good night. Okay, well, we're going to go on to the next word. The next word after recalcitrant is another good word. Pulchritude. Pulchritude. Pulchritude is basically a word that just means physical beauty, and it's almost always used about a woman. Okay? And it just is a fancy word that means beauty. That's it. It's just a fancy word that means beauty, right? Her pulchritude stunned the audience, right? Her beauty stunned the audience, right? And this word comes from Latin pulchritudo, or from pulcher, meaning beautiful. Tudo was a noun suffix, just a state or quality. And so where do we use pulchritude? We use it, it's a formal word, very formal word. It's a literary word, it's a poetic word, right? So it's usually just used in poetry, right? Very poetic ways. The poet wrote of her pulchritude with awe and reverence. The poet wrote of her pulchritude with awe and reverence. Okay, so pulchritude. If you want to impress somebody and say, well, let me think. What are some other forms of the word? Wait a minute. Pulchritudinous. Wait a minute. Forms of pulchritude. Yeah, pulchritudinous would be the adjective form of pulchritude, right? So you could say her pulchritudinous aesthetics shocked the world. Would be a weird sentence, but okay. Just means her beauty shocked the world. Okay? Pulchritude. Her pulchritude is perfect. Okay, sure, simple, but it works. Her beauty is perfect. Sure. No one could match her pulchritude. People spoke of her pulchritude all over the land. Okay, pulchritude, anyone? Come on, guys. You can do it. You have a free teacher waiting to correct you. Why don't you take advantage of that? Let me see who's here. Hello, hello, Hero. Good to see you again. Hello, Fluffy. Hello, Tulek. How are you, my friend? Hello, Dina. And Ron, again, it's good to see you. How have you been? Hello, Brenda. And Romina, hello. She is so pulchritude, that's why she thinks that she doesn't need to study. You could say her pulchritude is so great, or you could say she is so pulchritudinous. Okay? So you'd have to change the form, Yana. Okay? But that's not bad. Pretty good sentence. Hello, Noradine. Good to see you. The goddess's pulchritude was uncomparable. Good. Yes. Well done, Ornella. The goddess's pulchritude was uncomparable. Good. Okay, let's go to the next sentence. Or, sorry, next word. Exculpate. Exculpate. Another good one. This one means to clear from blame or accusation. Often used in court, in law, okay, to exculpate the defendant, okay, to clear somebody from blame or accusation. He's been exculpated, means he's been cleared from blame. They thought he did it, but no, he didn't do it, so now he's been exculpated. Okay, and what does exculpate mean? Ex means out, and culpa means blame. So it means free from blame. Okay, you're out of blame. You don't have to worry about it. You're free from fault. Okay? And where do we use this word? As I said, we use it in legal terms mostly, ethics occasionally, and journalism maybe. Okay? New evidence may exculpate the accused man. New evidence may exculpate the accused man. Okay, so it may clear him from blame. Okay? Rand says, because of her pulchritude, everyone is staring at her. Good. Yeah, that works. Yeah. Okay, so exculpate. Let's try exculpate. To clear from blame or accusation. And remember, you have to use it in a context that makes sense to use this word. I wouldn't use this word when I'm talking about my students at school, right? If I thought a student was cheating and I found out he didn't cheat, I wouldn't say he's been exculpated. I feel like that's a weird word to use in a school setting. It's usually used in a court or law setting, okay? I am exculpated now. Okay, sure. Simple sentence, but it works. Yeah, you're cleared from blame. He blamed me, but I was exculpated. That works too. The attorney did the best to exculpate his client. Yeah. Ornella, I think in most cases we might substitute his or her for the. So the attorney did his best to exculpate his client, or the attorney did her best to exculpate her client, right? I think that might be more commonly used. But the is not incorrect. After the diamond was found, the accused was exculpated. Very good, Romina. Everybody is amazed with her pulchritude. Very good. Do I think I am pushing myself harder watching this live? Yeah, Flavia, it's good for you though. I think if you're at an intermediate level, it's good to reach up for something higher than where you are, right? So it's good to challenge yourself every once in a while, okay? There's nothing wrong with a challenge, okay? He was exculpated, but for me, he is a killer yet. Okay, so that you think he's still guilty, even though they cleared him from blame. Okay, that works. Okay. Hello, Gila. Is that Gila, the Gila I know? It's been a long time, Gila. How are you? Okay, let's move on. Let's see here. The next word is sycophant. Sycophant. I know it looks like sycophant, but it's pronounced sycophant. Okay, and what is a sycophant? A sycophant is a person who flatters someone powerful for personal gain. So it's a kiss ass. Okay, the kiss up in class, the kiss up person who's always kissing up and licking boots and yes sir, anything you want, sir. Oh, you're so brilliant, sir. Oh, you're so smart, sir. I can think of one person in America who has a whole lot of sycophants around him almost all the time. There are many powerful people who usually have a lot of sycophants around them, but there's one in particular who he is the sycophant king. He is the king of sycophantia. That's right. Basically, it means an ass kisser. That's what a sycophant is. Okay? And where does this word come from? It comes from the Greek word sycophantes, meaning a fig shower. That's really funny. It says possibly referring to informing on illegal fig exports in ancient Athens. It evolved into informer and flatterer. Interesting. So this word comes from a time when if you told the authorities about somebody who was shipping figs illegally, they liked you. So it's like kissing their ass, right? So when you reported a crime, you're kissing their ass. You're an informer. You're a flatterer. You're a sycophant. But it's interesting. The original meaning was to tell on somebody who was trying to import figs, or sorry, export figs. You're a sycophant. Who are you a sycophant for, Hinoki? Stop being a sycophant, Leo. Nishio Shou Iga a sycophant. You make me feel sick. Yes, that works. Okay. Let's look here. Where do we use the word sycophant? We use it in office politics, right? He's such a sycophant for the boss, you know. He's always, the boss always has many sycophants, right? Or historical commentary, talking about a leader of maybe, you know, in the past who had many sycophants around him, okay? Or leadership critique, right? You don't have followers, you just have sycophants, okay? And so here's the example. The advisor was dismissed as a sycophant who only told the leader what he wanted to hear. That sounds familiar. That sounds very familiar. The advisor was dismissed as a sycophant who only told the leader what he wanted to hear. Except the only problem is we don't dismiss those people anymore. That's who gets hired. They don't dismiss the sycophants, they hire them. Especially here. Okay, anybody want to try using sycophant? Anyone else? No one else? Okay, I'm going to move on then. We're going to the next word, which is obsequious. I love the pronunciation of all these words. These words all have great pronunciation practice skills. A lot of these words require really good pronunciation skills. So, obsequious, obsequious, obsequious. It means excessively obedient or attentive to an ingratiating degree. So, actually, many times sycophants are often also obsequious. You could say the obsequious sycophant. The obsequious sycophant means the exceedingly obedient, the very, very obedient ass kisser. Okay? So it says here, attentive to an ingratiating degree. So if you know somebody who is like maybe when the teacher is around, they say, "Oh, did you want us to sit down now? We can sit down. Everybody be quiet. Everybody be quiet." That's being obsequious. It's being sycophantic and obsequious. Okay? So sometimes there's one kid in the class who's always kissing the ass of the teacher, and they're always being obsessively obedient. Like, sit down, everybody, it's time to start. Be quiet, right? They're telling everybody what to do. They're excessively obedient. That's obsequious. Obsequiousness. And the etymology ob means toward, and sequi means to follow. So following toward. It's like whatever you want, I'm going to do. Wherever you're going, that's where I'm going. Whatever you say, that's correct. Yes. So to be sycophantic is very similar to being obsequious. Okay? We use this in court behavior, politics, and social critiques, right? Again, very similar to the word sycophant. His obsequious tone made it clear he was trying to win favor. His obsequious tone, right? Yes, sir. Oh, of course, sir. Anything you want. Everything you say is brilliant, sir. Okay? Right away, sir. We'll do that as soon as possible. I assure you we'll get it done. That's obsequious. Okay? To be obsequious. Anyone want to try obsequious? No one? Is this one too hard for you? Come on. Come on, guys. Obsequious. 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 I want to see some obsequiousness in my audience right now. Where are my sycophantic followers who will obsequiously follow my orders and do what I say? Is it an adjective? Yes. His obsequious way, his obsequious manner. He's being obsequious. Let me think. Could it be a verb too? No. Yeah. If you say obsequiously, it's an adverb. Obsequiousness is a noun, and obsequious is an adjective. Okay? The president got a lot of obsequious minions. That's good, yeah. Romana says, the best advice my dad gave me is not to be too obsequious to my boss. Yeah, good. Yeah. It was an obsequious person. Okay, yeah. But I think if you're going to talk about a person, usually we say he or she, not it. Okay, Hinoki? She was an obsequious person, or he was an obsequious person. Okay? He was obsequious to his boss, always agreeing with her. Yeah, that works. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, obsequiousness is very similar to sycophancy. They're very similar. Okay? All right, we're moving on. We have three more words. The next word is vicissitude. Vicissitude. Vicissitude means a change or variation occurring in the course of something, often unexpected. So it's an unexpected change or variation that you didn't see coming. Okay, uh, this word comes from the Latin vicis, meaning turn or change, and tudo, meaning state or condition. So it just means it changed. It turned. It did something you didn't expect. Okay? She endured the vicissitudes of life with quiet strength. She endured the difficult things, the variations in life that are unexpected. The unexpected things that happen in life, those are vicissitudes. Okay? Or you endured the vicissitudes of your college education. You know, endured the vicissitudes of college. There are many unexpected things that come up in college. You endured the vicissitudes of moving to a new country. Right? Very, very, like lots of changes, things that are unexpected. Okay? Vicissitude. This adventure novel is full of vicissitude. Yes. Yes, although let me think about that for a moment. I think, Ornella, I think I would probably add an S because you said full of. That's many. I'm not sure. I think you could maybe use it in this manner, like an uncountable. Uh, Vicissitude. Let me think. Full of vicissitude. I think you could get away with that. Like, let me put it to you this way, Ornella. It's language, and language is actually not written by the rules. It's written by the users, right? So meaning that if you think it works, then it works. Okay. Um, but let me check something here. Let's see. Yeah. So when I looked it up, Ornella, it said that the singular version of the word is very rarely used. So it says it's almost always used in its plural form when you're talking about many of them. So in this case, I think I would go ahead and say add an S to that. Life, this adventure novel is full of vicissitudes. Okay. I think you could get away with it, describing it like an attitude, right, or an atmosphere in a general term like that. But I think it'd be better since you said full of, then maybe I would add the S. Okay, or you could even say this adventure novel is vicissitudinous. This is a vicissitudinous adventure novel. Leo says, unfortunately, a vicissitude stopped her from realizing her dream. Yeah. Yeah, although I'll say again what I said to Ornella, which is that the singular form of this word is very rarely used. So I think in most cases, when you're trying to form a sentence using this word, think of it in its plural sense. Okay? So maybe, Leo, you could say, unfortunately, the vicissitudes of life stopped her from realizing her dream. Okay? A vicissitude is kind of a weird thing to talk about. It's usually discussed in plural terms. Okay? My life is full of vicissitudes. That works. I have experienced the vicissitudes of life. Good. Some vicissitudes. Right. Okay? You could say some. Sure. That would work. Yeah. Okay? Or just speak more poetically by saying the vicissitudes of life. Okay? Or the vicissitudes of her recent life. Okay? All right, let's move on. We've got two more words. The next word is sagacious. Oh, I can't even say it. Sagacious. 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 Sagacious is a word that means wise, like a sage. Basically, it just means like a sage. Okay, what is a sage? A sage is a wise person. Okay? A very wise person is a sage. Okay? And to be sagacious, I can't say it, it's so hard to say. Sagacious means to be wise, that's all. Okay? And where does it come from? It comes from the Latin word segax or sagacis, meaning keen perception, to perceive quickly. We use this to talk about leaders and historical figures and life decisions. The elders' sagacious advice guided the community through hardship. The elders' sagacious advice guided the community through hardship. So, he's an older person. We call them elders sometimes. Okay? Older people, we call them elders. And many times, sometimes older people are more wise, so they are sagacious. Okay? That's right, very wise. He is a sagacious guy. That works. Okay, good. Sagacious, got it? Doesn't elder mean brother? No. Elder means older. So sometimes we say my elder brother, but that means my older brother. Okay? I wouldn't say elder for a younger brother. So it definitely only means older. Okay? But in general, the word elder is used to talk about older people. Be nice to your elders. Be respectful to your elders. Okay? Is it okay to say more wise instead of wiser? Yeah, you can say either one. There's nothing wrong with saying he's more wise. Wiser is the more common form, but there's no reason why you can't just say more wise. Okay? Depends on the context, Olga. Sometimes I might want to say more wise, and sometimes I think wiser would be the better choice. Okay? All right, let's go to the final word for today. The final word for today is equanimity. Equanimity. Ah, yes, Flavia. That's a very different thing. You're right. In the Mormon church, they call each man, if you're older, then you're an elder. Okay? But that's like a brother. You're right. That's a very specific thing that's only involving the Mormon church. So I wouldn't think about that much at all unless you happen to be Mormon. Okay? Unless you're planning on going there or being Mormon, I wouldn't worry about it. But yes, you're right. In the Mormon church, the word elder is different. That's a completely different thing. Okay? Equanimity. Let's do the final word. Equanimity means calmness and composure, especially under stress. Okay? So you're equal. You're calm. Okay? You're not positive or negative. You're calm. You're equal. You have equanimity. Okay? You're equanimitous. Okay? Uh, and it comes from the equus, meaning even or level, and animus, meaning mind or spirit. So evenness of mind. That's what equanimity means. To have an evenness of mind. Okay? We use this to talk in philosophy, spirituality, stress management, and stoicism. Okay? She handled the crisis with remarkable equanimity. She handled the crisis with remarkable equanimity, calmness, composure. Okay? Leo says, my supervisor gave me sagacious advice about my career. Good. She handled the crisis with equanimity. Good. Yoga is a good way to get equanimity in your life. Maybe. Yes. I think yes, but I think in general, usually we apply this when we're talking about especially under stress, right? So maybe you could say, if you find your life is very stressful, yoga is a good way to get equanimity in your life, right? If you just say yoga is a good way to get equanimity in your life, you haven't mentioned any stress in your life, so it's okay, but it'd be better if you actually implied there was some stress there, okay? She is a person of great equanimity. Yeah, that works. Yeah. ChatGPT charged you money? Oh no, well imagine that. Things cost money. OpenAI, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Manus, whichever one you want to use, Perplexity, I don't care which one you use. Use whatever one you want to use. I pay for this one, and I'm perfectly happy paying for it, because you should pay for things that have value in life. Like me, right now. So, once again, equanimity means calmness and composure, especially under stress. The depthness of my equanimity varies based on the difficulties in my life. No matter what happened during the meeting, she kept her typical equanimity. Yes, good. After a long day, I normally go to the gym to get equanimity. Yeah, that works, because you said after a long day. Yeah, that implies you're stressed out. Yeah. Okay, good. Excellent. Well done. All right, so it has been an hour and 10 minutes. It's been 10 minutes longer than I am supposed to be here, so that's going to be it for me for today. Before I go, here is my website. If you want to study English, you can go to my website, and there are many free resources on my website to study English. Okay, so if you want to study reading, writing, listening, speaking, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, go to my website. It is free. Sign up. That's all you have to do is give me your email and sign up. But there's no money, and there are many resources I have found for you to study English, and I put them on my website. So go there. You also can go to my YouTube channel if you want to review today's lessons, right? Today's vocabulary. If you want to review them, go to my YouTube channel. This video is going to be uploaded to my YouTube channel as soon as I'm finished. Okay, as soon as I'm finished, this will be on YouTube, and you can check it and review it and watch it again. Okay? So, that's going to be it for me today. If you didn't follow me already, then you should. And I will see you guys later. I am making progress on my book, which I'm happy about. Working with some AI models, including ChatGPT. I'm starting to get closer to feeling better about my writing. So, hopefully soon I'll have something small for you guys to look at. All right. I'm going to go, but have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening, and I will see you guys next time, okay? Bye.